sort of reflect a little bit on where Pioneer is within the constellation of Massachusetts, it's been a pretty good year in some ways. We've gained many tactical wins, from turning back a very big income tax increase, advancing deep reforms of our state's transportation finance system, and a new law on e-learning. We've also seen more strategic wins, where we've seen the long ball play of 20 years ago in the state's landmark Education Reform Act. It continues to bear incredible fruit. First among equals in that reform is the state's charter school movement, which is rightly known as the very best charter sector in the country. That's not Jim Stergios, Pioneer Institute speaking. That's Stanford University speaking. One amazing stat. Stanford University's credo arm is not a terribly good friend to charter schools around the country. They think that charter schools around the country are more or less like district schools in terms of performance. Their analysis says that in Boston, 1 year in a charter school gives 2 years of learning in a Boston district school in math and English. It's an incredible statistic. Today, 18% of our students in Boston are in charters. A recent WBUR poll says that 66% of the populace supports radical expansion of charter schools. Only 21% are against it. And it's not by accident, folks, that the two mayoral candidates who are in the finals are pro-charter. This could be a game-changing moment for Boston and the state. We could think about having 40% of our kids in charters, 50% of kids in charters. Imagine the impact that would have. So for me, the lessons are two. First, we have to walk and chew gum at the same time. Yeah, go after those tactical wins, but go for the strategy. Go for the big wins. Go for the big wins, but dive into the details. Show up every day. Mean it. And we should not be fearful of pressing our cause. As many of you know, Massachusetts students are now the best prepared in the country, but we at Pioneer strive to be the best in the world. We are not measuring ourselves with the rest of the country. That's the director's goal at Pioneer Institute, and it's the right goal. In that way, Pioneer's directors are, I hope, somewhat happy with me and with our team, but they are very much like Tocqueville said about Americans, which is they are ambitious, restless, and chronically dissatisfied people. And I'm glad they are. They remain committed to John Adams' ideal set forth in the 1780 Massachusetts Constitution, which says that we, quote, shall cherish the interests of literature and the sciences, not only for upward mobility and equality of opportunity, but for the character of our people. So lesson number two. The lesson I draw is, yeah, this competition is a long time coming, revving up the great American job engine. Because while we take great pride in our educational reforms, the fact is that poverty, race, and one zip code still matter. Yes, charter schools can bridge those gaps, but it does not change the life prospects of all children. And we are not doing a good enough job in selling the message that jobs are the answer, not government. Massachusetts, right here, in Greater Boston, you may feel like we are thriving, but I would ask you to look across the state. And one very quick stat. Massachusetts, since 1990, has only grown a few percentage points in terms of job creation. The United States has grown its job base by more than 25%, including the past recession. So if you think about it, if we grew at the average of the United States, not outpacing it, we would have 450,000 more jobs in Massachusetts. Now, that's a stunning number in terms of thinking about the higher demand for products, about additional tax revenues, and the ability to lift our industrialized cities back to a level where they're actually prosperous. But set aside your pencils and set aside your math. Consider the pride that comes with the job, the dignity that comes with self-sufficiency, the example it sets for a child trying to understand the world. This is the challenge for our country, and especially for us in Massachusetts, to speak clearly about the human dignity that comes with economic growth and the social mobility it provides. Without growth, our periodic meager growth in Massachusetts that we've grown accustomed to is destined to play out in terms of the narrative of big tax increases to support people who cannot make it. That is a zero-sum narrative, and the United States is destined to follow. Friends, no trait is more American than striving, and few states in these United States have the proud lineage of thought leadership that Massachusetts can boast. Throughout our history, the Bay State has exerted enormous intellectual influence on the rest of the country. As a state, we have strived for intellectual leadership every day. We see the best of that in the American Revolution. We see the best of that in abolitionism. We see the best of that in women's suffrage. Our less happy striving we see in the middle of the 19th century with the Know Nothing movement, and today with our nanny state fixations. We must apply the Commonwealth's genius and the need to strive to reinvent our job engine. Tonight you will hear about how to do that, how to connect people to job training and jobs, how to remove barriers to entrepreneurship, how to create opportunities for entrepreneurs to access resources and mentoring, how to redirect our attention away from having the state play venture capitalist, and how to create a practical plan for our older industrialized cities.